While everyone in the car industry focused on gas or batteries, Toyota quietly invested $70 billion into a third option, $70 billion, on a fuel source most people either fantasized about or never took seriously in the first place. If the world took a step back and looked at what choices are available today, none of them feel all that great. Gas is messy for the planet and brutal on everyone's wallets. Electric vehicles, they're an improvement, but battery mining and long charge times come with their own problems. That's what makes Toyota's approach so interesting. It turns out they've been developing something completely different from the two. A fuel that's already abundant around the world, produces zero emissions, and could completely change how everything is powered. What Toyota has quietly poured billions into might just reshape the entire car industry. What if both gasoline and electric vehicles are making the same fundamental mistake? Both are treating energy storage like a problem that can be solved by just choosing a different container. It might seem like the world is choosing between dirty gasoline and clean electric vehicles, but that's not really the choice at all. When someone fills up with gas, they're not just paying for fuel, they're funding a global operation. It begins with drilling crude oil, continues through energy-intensive refineries, and then moves via trucks, tankers, and pipelines across the planet. The price at the pump? It swings with politics, wars, supply chain bottlenecks, and Wall Street speculation, none of which reflect the true cost of production. Electric vehicles seem like the cleaner alternative, but the reality is more complicated. Their batteries rely heavily on lithium, and most of the world's lithium comes from places like Chile's Atacama Desert, where extraction drains water supplies and harms ecosystems local communities depend on. Lithium isn't pulled from rocks, it's pumped from deep underground into vast evaporation ponds and left to dry for months under the sun. What's left behind is a scarred landscape and a resource-hungry process that's anything but clean. Then there's the issue of charging. Picture millions of people getting home from work and plugging in their electric vehicles at the same time. The existing power grid simply wasn't built to handle that kind of load. In California, residents are already being told to avoid charging during peak hours. Scale that up across the country or the world, and the strain becomes unsustainable. Battery technology has its limits too. Make batteries large enough to power freight trucks, and cargo space gets sacrificed to weight. Try applying the same logic to airplanes, and the math breaks entirely. They're too heavy and not efficient enough. Even in standard electric vehicles, battery performance doesn't last forever. Most drop to around 80% capacity in less than a decade, and when they need replacing, that can cost more than $15,000. Recycling isn't a clean solution either. It's costly, rarely done, and many used batteries still end up in landfills. So no, this isn't a simple choice between clean and dirty energy. It's a trade-off between two flawed systems. Gasoline burns dirty and causes environmental damage long before it even reaches a car. EVs eliminate tailpipe emissions, but bring a different set of problems: mining, grid pressure, and battery waste. This is the challenge that Toyota set out to tackle, not by leaning harder into batteries, but by asking a completely different question. What if the real answer has been sitting in plain sight all along? There's a fuel source that covers 71% of the planet's surface, and most people walk past it every day without a second thought: water. It sounds counterintuitive. After all, water is for drinking, swimming, or washing cars, not powering them. But inside every drop is an overlooked source of energy with extraordinary potential. At its core, water is more than just a simple molecule. With two hydrogen atoms bonded to oxygen, it holds a hidden fuel that could completely change how the world produces and uses energy. Here's how it works. Through a process called electrolysis, water molecules are split into hydrogen gas and oxygen. The hydrogen is then stored and fed into fuel cells, which generate electricity to power vehicles. When hydrogen runs through a fuel cell, it recombines with oxygen from the air, and the only byproduct is water vapor. No carbon emissions, no smog, nothing harmful. And when it comes to energy density, hydrogen has a major advantage. Pound for pound, it holds nearly 3 times as much energy as gasoline. That means a hydrogen-powered car can travel the same distance while carrying much less fuel. To put it in perspective, while a typical gas car might need 50 pounds of fuel to drive 400 miles, a hydrogen vehicle could cover that same distance with just 17 pounds of hydrogen. But that's where it gets really interesting. Earth's oceans contain enough hydrogen to power global transportation for millions of years. This isn't just a renewable fuel, it's one that exists on a planetary scale. Unlike oil, which took millions of years to form and will eventually run out, water is a part of a natural, ongoing cycle. Through evaporation, precipitation, and condensation, it's constantly replenished. The hydrogen trapped within it represents an almost limitless energy supply. What makes this system so remarkable is its circular nature. Start with water, split it into hydrogen and oxygen, use the hydrogen to power a vehicle, and the only byproduct? Pure water vapor, which eventually returns to the water cycle. It's a closed loop, one that works with nature, not against it. And this isn't just theory. Toyota engineers have already proven it's possible to extract hydrogen from regular tap water using electricity. The process does require energy input, but Toyota powers it using renewable sources like wind and solar. The result? Truly clean hydrogen made from ordinary water. So what makes water the most abundant fuel source humanity has been ignoring? It's not the liquid itself. It's the hydrogen locked inside, waiting to be released. And when scaled up to the size of oceans, it becomes a viable energy source that could completely replace fossil fuels. But that raises a question. How did Toyota manage to make this process efficient and affordable enough to actually work? Let's look at their breakthrough in electrolysis. Toyota's engineers went after a 200-year-old chemistry problem that most of the world had written off: how to make water a viable fuel. The process is called electrolysis, splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen using electricity. Simple in theory, but inefficient and expensive in practice. Traditional electrolysis wastes a lot of energy. A significant portion is lost as heat, making it too costly to compete with gasoline. That's why for decades, hydrogen fuel just couldn't make economic sense until Toyota changed the equation. Their breakthrough starts with a simple idea. Heat the water first. By raising the temperature, the chemical bonds in H2O become easier to break. Less force is needed, so less electricity is required. Think of it like snapping a frozen rope versus a warm one. The warmer it gets, the easier it is to pull apart. This one shift in approach improved overall efficiency by about 40%, drastically cutting down both power use and cost. But they didn't stop with just better efficiency. Most hydrogen systems rely on precious metals like platinum as catalysts, rare, expensive, and tough to scale. Toyota developed a new type of catalyst made from common low-cost materials that are far easier to source and mass-produce. Even their storage solution got a redesign. Instead of bulky, heavy metal tanks, Toyota uses carbon-reinforced containers that can handle over 10,000 psi of pressure, and they're significantly lighter. That matters in transportation, where every extra kilogram affects fuel, economy, and range. They're solving problems that others walked away from and building a system designed for real-world use. The real magic? It's the fact that the entire process forms a clean, closed loop. Start with water, use renewable energy to extract hydrogen, power a vehicle with that hydrogen, then release nothing but water vapor back into the atmosphere. No carbon, no smoke, just clean motion. And this isn't a far-off fantasy. Toyota is already putting hydrogen-powered vehicles like the Mirai on the road in Japan, California, and parts of Europe. Their production system has even been certified to scale up to 3 gigawatts of clean hydrogen capacity by 2030, with plans to go beyond that. Hydrogen may have once seemed too good to be true, but Toyota is showing the world it's not just possible, it's already happening. The Toyota Mirai can travel up to 402 miles on a single tank and refuels in just 5 minutes. That's more than impressive. It's a fundamental shift on how clean vehicles can work. Compared to most electric cars, especially in cold weather where batteries tend to underperform, the Mirai offers both longer range and faster turnaround. It delivers the freedom of long-distance driving without the emissions and without the stress of hunting for a charger or waiting around to power up. That 5-minute refuel, it's a game changer. As quick as a gas stop, it brings back the spontaneity of road trips. Pull over, fuel up, and get moving. No more 30-minute charging waits. That's exactly why Toyota is doubling down on hydrogen for heavy-duty vehicles. The company plans to deliver 75,000 fuel cell units by 2030, with a strong focus on commercial trucks in Europe and the US. These are vehicles that can't afford long charging breaks and need to go the distance. Hydrogen gives them both range and rapid refueling. Still, there's one major hurdle: infrastructure. Right now, there aren't enough hydrogen stations to support widespread use. But Toyota's not waiting around. They're building partnerships with governments in Japan, Germany, and California to roll out a proper network of refueling stations. It's the next piece of the puzzle, and without it, the whole plan stalls. That's why they're starting with commercial fleets. Trucking companies can set up their own stations and get immediate benefits from the faster refueling and lighter weight. And once that foundation is in place, the technology becomes more practical for everyone else too. This could reshape the entire transportation ecosystem, from cross-country haulers to city buses and even backup power systems. Hydrogen has the potential to take over the heavy lifting, the jobs batteries were never built to handle. Toyota has committed $70 billion to make this work. That includes fuel cell vehicles, water splitting tech, and the stations needed to support it all. It's part of Japan's GX support program, and it's not just about cars. Toyota's betting that hydrogen will eventually power trucks, ships, planes, and even entire power grids. The groundwork is already being laid in California, Germany, and Japan, places where governments and private companies are teaming up to build the backbone of a hydrogen economy. The choices being made right now will decide who leads the next energy wave. Toyota's not waiting around for a maybe. They've built the tech and they're building the network. The hydrogen era isn't a future idea, it's starting today. And once this system is in place, it could be bigger than anyone expects. Would you drive a car that runs on water? Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love to hear what you think.